Hey, welcome into the arena. I want to talk to you a little bit today about the most common mistakes that first-time horse buyers make. And if you're about to buy your first horse or thinking about buying your first horse, I just want to say welcome to the horse world. You know, those of us who've done this for decades, we love it. We love horses, we love the interaction, and it's worth everything that we have to do it. But there's a lot involved. And so having been in it for a number of years, I've seen a lot of people make mistakes, and I'm going to try to just enumerate them for you. First of all, the number one and the most dangerous mistake that first-time horse buyers make is they buy too much horse. And what we mean by that is they buy a horse that it either has too much energy and too much go, or it isn't well trained enough for their skill level. And so they buy the horse and they're all excited, and then they can't control that horse because they're just not, they're a first-time horse owner, whether it's an adult or a child. And I've seen it happen many, many times. And then when I ask them, well, why did you buy that particular horse? They usually say either, A, it was pretty. They bought it because it was pretty. It's always women who say that. Or they say they bought it because it was cheap. It's usually men who say that, okay? And neither one of those is a good reason to buy a horse. Think about it this way: the less you know, the more your horse needs to know. It needs to be an inverse thing, because I'm using this 23-year-old mare here as an example because she was recently purchased by one of my clients for a first horse for a little girl. Well, she knows quite a bit. She's 23. She knows a lot. Little girl doesn't know very much. That's the right way to do it. And if you aren't sure how to go about it, please, this is the best advice that I could ever give you, and that is find someone who knows a lot about horses and ask them to help you. Most horse people are good people, and they'll help you. If you don't know anyone, then Google it and find a horse trainer near you and ask for help, because it'll save you a whole lot of heartache and all kinds of things that you won't like. So that's the most common and the most dangerous thing that people do, is they buy too much horse. They buy a horse that they're just not able to handle and doesn't match what they can understand or what they know. Second thing, most common problem is that people underestimate the cost of owning a horse. Because whatever you think it is, it's more. And a friend of mine, this is just for you, Justin, a few years ago, a guy asked me, he said, how much does it cost to own a horse? He was asking me monthly costs. And we were out in the pens, and I said, how much cash you got in your wallet? He said, about $50. And I said, well, go over there and throw it in the water tank. And if you like that, you'll like owning a horse. Okay? I guess he liked it because he's got some horses now. This is a very expensive hobby, and a lot of people don't understand how much it costs, so they get into it and then they find out they cannot afford it. They can't afford the hay, and some years like this year, hay's higher, and just all kinds of things. Vet bills. I have a really good vet, and I'm pretty sure it costs me $200 to shake his hand, and then he looks at the horse. At least it feels that way. And I could just go on and on about the costs of things. So please understand that, and because you're going to do yourself and your horse a favor. And if you cannot afford a horse, that's okay. You don't have to own a horse just because you're a horse lover. There are lots of ways to be around horses, love horses, without actually owning them. And I give a lot of riding lessons, and I tell folks, you can take riding lessons from me for probably 5 years, every week, and that's still cheaper than buying a horse. And that doesn't count feed and hay and vet bills and saddles and bridles and on and on. And so there are lots of things you can do if you're a horse lover besides just owning a horse, all right? Next thing, third mistake that folks make is they don't educate themselves in advance about things that horses need. Whether it's what kind of saddle should I purchase, how often do I have to worm that horse, what is colic, what do I do if the horse founders, and it's a pretty long list. Fortunately, with Google, you can kind of educate yourselves a lot easier today than it used to be. But before you own a horse, you need to have some pretty basic understandings about how to do that. What do you do if you're leading the horse and the horse is stepping on your foot? You know, what do you do when this happens or that happens? So it really is to your benefit and your horse's benefit to get as much education as you can before you own a horse. And I've had quite a few clients over the years who come and they take lessons from me for a few months to learn all of this stuff, and that's a smart thing to do. And they learn all kinds of things, like if that horse, you know, how do I back a horse up? How do I get that horse to drop its head so I can put a bridle on it? And 100 other things that we just kind of need to know. Okay, next one, most common mistake that people make, first-time horse owners, is because they don't understand horse language, they'll walk up to the horse and the horse will do something, move or click a fly or something, and the horse will step and they'll do that. And they will step away from their horse. Well, you do that because a 1,000-pound animal just came moving towards you. But what they don't understand is that in horse language, I just told this horse, you're my boss, you can tell me what to do. That's what I just said to her. Well, we humans don't know that. And so if you start stepping away from a horse for any reason other than you're trying to catch them, then you've just told that horse it's the boss, and your relationship's probably going to go downhill from there. Very common thing that happens. Next, first-time horse owners make the mistake of what I call treating the horse like a four-wheeler. In other words, we're all used to owning machines, and so, you know, I took my four-wheeler to the mechanic last fall and it was running fine. We put it in the garage. Now it's May. Let's start her up and go riding. Worked fine on the four-wheeler. Won't work fine on the horse. The horse is not a machine. And so we have to understand that you just can't put that horse and turn it out for 2 or 3 months and expect it to be the same as it was when you turned it loose. It will not happen. Horses need constant care. They need constantly, you need to work with them and keep them sharp. And a lot of people get hurt. A lot of people get hurt because they'll turn a horse out for 2 months or 6 months, and then they get back and they think it's fine, and it's not, because they're animals and all kinds of things happen. So you can't treat this horse like it's a machine. It is a living, breathing animal that needs constant care, constant training, constant attention. And if you cannot give it that, then, you know, probably shouldn't be owning a horse. Figure out another way to be a horse lover. And then the last one, and there are lots of these, I just kind of tried to figure the 5 or 6 that I thought were the most common. The last one that's really common with first-time horse owners is they overfeed the horse, especially sweet feed, something that has a lot of sugar and a lot of protein. And most horses that aren't working every day don't really need much grain, if any. They need hay, they need a lot of bulk, but they don't need a lot of high sugar, high stuff kind of feed. And so people tend to overfeed their horses, and it makes them fat, which this horse isn't. It makes the horse fat, and it also makes them full of energy, and they want to jump around and they want to kick up their heels, and you don't want them doing that. Okay, and so hope that helps you. If you are trying to buy a first horse, please find a horse person that you know or that you can meet in your area and ask someone to help you, and it'll work out a whole lot better for you.